Live! Hi, this is Dawn O'Sara, and this is our Women Think and Grow Rich monthly coaching and conversation. And this month, we're talking about specialized knowledge, and straight from the book Think and Grow Rich. And we are going to kind of dive deep into specialized knowledge. What is specialized knowledge? What was Napoleon Hill talking about when he was talking about specialized knowledge? And then we're going to do some masterminding and helping each other understand what our specialized knowledge is, how much specialized knowledge do we really need in order to think and grow rich, and anything else that may or may not come up. So that's what the plan is for tonight. So welcome, and I'm glad if you're watching from the outside, hello, and thank you. You can post where you're hanging out from, and I think tonight might be just a quiet night. So who knows, but welcome and glad you're here. Glad you're here. I see Andrea and Robin. Yay, hi.
Hi. I'm glad to be here.
And Crystal's traveling today, so she's not around, but she's definitely here in spirit, and we'll maybe she'll watch the replay. So hi, Crystal. Yeah. So when did you read the chapter on specialized knowledge, the fourth step towards riches and Think and Grow Rich?
Yes.
Question, yes. What were some of your biggest takeaways? Because that's how I'd like to kind of what were the big ahas in this?
Yeah. For me, Napoleon Hill has been profoundly underscoring the importance of having a definite purpose, just like the specificity idea. And so then when I came to this chapter with specificity, and then I saw him talking about definite preparation with specific information, like having a definite idea and then taking definite actions to provide for that definite idea to be articulated and activated and implemented, but it didn't require massive general knowledge. It required specific knowledge and even, the mastermind's input.
Yeah, and it didn't mean that you had to have the specialized knowledge. That was the important thing that I thought that really came out of this chapter. If you were really looking at it with that whole, fresh eyes, when you think of specialized knowledge, you think, well, I have to be the one who has all the specialized knowledge in order to bring it to the market, right?
Right.
And when he's talking about it, and he really brings us around when he starts talking about Ford, right? Henry Ford.
Right.
And how they put him on trial. They were trying to defame him and make him out to be, like the dumbest guy on the block. And he basically said he did not need to know anything as long as he knew how to organize the knowledge to get of other people to one common end. And so thinking about that, I'm glad you brought that up, Robin, because when we're thinking about that and thinking about our lives, right, and really think about how you have succeeded in the past with this understanding of, using other people to orchestrate and use their knowledge to get something done. And I'm going to ask you to kind of think in your past to come up with an example of some time in your past. And it doesn't have to be business related, but it has to be a time when you've used the knowledge of other people to come together. And if you've never done it yet, then that's fine too. It's where you are. But when you connect your history with this new idea of using it and applying it today, it's very powerful. So it's an open-ended question. Do you remember any time in your life where you've actually use those, use the knowledge of other people towards one goal or one end. Could be catering a party where you are, moving people around.
Yeah. Just plugging in somebody who's an awesome financial person for whatever piece, whether it's the, organizing of the books, or the knowledge of how a loan or an investment would work. I don't know. I don't have specialized knowledge of all that. Or even going to a doctor who knows the specific system of the body better than I do. That's leveraging someone else's knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah, and then if you've got like a big problem to solve, or a big something that you're an end that you are really looking for. So like if we'll just use health for an example. If you're somebody who really wants to optimize their health and really get the most benefit out of your own personal fitness, health and fitness, you might utilize a lot of different experts coming together to help you maximize your health. Like you might use a nutritionist, you might use a fitness trainer, you might use somebody who is a great grocery shopper, or cook, or there's lots of different things, and doctors, medical doctors, and intuitives. You might just use a ton of different people to come together to support you in your goal of having optimum health. That's one example, like kind of a big example. Andrea, do you have any examples you can think of where you've actually pulled together resources of maybe you've not even have known the people before, but you knew that you could solve the problem or get something done by using other people?
Oh yeah, for sure. There's been a lot of times with things in setting up Empowering Angels, because I did not at all know how to do things that needed to get done. And that was my big takeaway from the very first time I read Think and Grow Rich and read this chapter. That had really stayed out in my mind, that I didn't have to know. Because, of course, the freak out came because, stuff needs to get done. I don't know how to do it. And then it was like I remembered, no, I don't need to know, because there's people who know. So, yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going to give an example, just like one random example that I may have put out there before, because it was just something I felt like I was in way over my head. There was a time when my kids were, when my daughter was going to school, and she was, I was a new mom and never had before done anything on school boards or anything, but I volunteered to organize this grandparents' day, which was, I'm just like, okay, nobody's there to volunteer to lead it up, so I had no idea at all of anything that I was supposed to do or going to do, but I stepped up to the plate knowing that there were other people who have done it before in the past, like it's been done every year, right? Like I didn't have to know anything, that I just knew how to orchestrate and bring everybody together. And that was exactly what I did. And I remember thinking, there's always a linchpin person who knows even more how to organize other people as well, too. So I got that linchpin person who knew more than, of course, more than I did, but knew a lot of different resources, who could pull in a lot of more resources for me. And that just made that whole event just go really smoothly. I almost felt like I didn't do anything at all because everybody else was just pulling in the resources to get everything done. And when it was all finished, they were like, "Oh, this is the greatest grandparents' day we've ever had." And I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me!" Like I thought I missed the boat. But having everybody else do what they did best and me stepping back was probably the best thing ever. And it's just a little grandparents' day thing, but that can happen. And that was definitely over my head, meaning I've never worked with the schools before, and I was, I guess 16, no, maybe not that long ago, maybe 10 years ago. So, so I was not so new to things. But knowing, I think reading this chapter on specialized knowledge, reading it again and again and again, to gets you into that habit of using other people, the resource of other people, and asking another question here to help us grow our businesses and help us grow into the next level of ourselves is, where in your life right now could you benefit from using this idea of being specific of where you're going, and then gathering gathering the other people who might know how to get it done or might be able to support you in your single-minded focus going forward. That's the question, kind of open-ended, and allowing us to come up with a more personal, timely, what's going on now in our lives or in our business, that we can use this knowledge to move forward.
So where specifically are we using and leveraging other people's abilities to bring about our goals?
Yes, or where is the opportunity to do it? Because sometimes, we might know that, that this is a great idea, but we might not be using it. So even if you are, we'll say, where's the opportunity? Because I'm assuming that we're all doing it in some place, but there's an opportunity for us to expand this knowledge of this chapter into someplace else in our business and in our lives that can really free us up. And support us in a way that we may not feel supported.
Well, I would say, Dawn, that, like really right now, in this real moment, the three of us are using the specialized knowledge in our mastermind here.
Right.
And Paul.
You go, Andrea.
That's definitely part of it, because we all bring in something. Right? And we bring our stuff, and we bring the conversation, and we chew the fat, and the stuff unfolds. And I don't know, I just feel very supported from the Women's Think and Grow Rich group, from you, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here, because you are the facilitator. In our empire building, in my conscious language, in our conscious language. So I know for sure that is a consistent throughout the month, every month. It is a focused, where, specialized knowledge is coming. That's just like in one part. I just really wanted to kind of, just acknowledge that and show my appreciation for this, because I do feel supported through all the masterminds that I belong to. And Robin, you bring your specialized knowledge too, and thank you, because I definitely feel supported through the other people in our mastermind.
That's really great.
Yeah.
I think one example I have visited a group called Team Women. It's been a national organization, but it's in Santa Cruz. It's a local one, and the people who are in it are really all accomplished and excellent at what they do. And for example, today I was able to speak with someone who's had an expertise that I don't have. I've been reading up on something with regards to MailChimp, and she had it in, so we were able to spend maybe 18 minutes on the phone, and she gave me a piece that I didn't already have, or that she sped me up, an hour's worth or more. And kind of like the story in the chapter 5 where the mother speeds her son's progress up by 10 years by packaging the material about what he's capable of while she sends him to the library to get capable. I love that.
I do too.
That was an awesome story. So this group, there are all kinds of experts in this group, so I can avail myself of their expertise and they can avail themselves of mine. So that feels like a really great example of this?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but it's just like getting like a hit. But I really believe, too, that this was Napoleon Hill's way of, in this chapter, also really, it is about the mastermind.
Yeah.
And the specialized knowledge and the coming together in the mastermind.
Are you saying that what I'm saying is not really what he's talking about here?
What's that, honey?
Are you saying that this idea that everybody brings a collective a talent or an ability isn't the same as this way that we're meeting right now to pull a drop-down menu from the sky of some kind of integratedness? I guess that's what I'm trying to understand. Is the mastermind different?
For me, when Dawn was asking the question, yeah, like that's, I feel, for how when she had asked us, you know, how are we individually using the specialized knowledge, you know, for me, I know that I feel the mastermind is a huge way of tapping into that specialized knowledge and getting the support that one needs through the possession of that specialized knowledge, because the relationships are formed, and so as a collective, yes, within the group, and when, you know, the group is meeting together, yes, and then through that, so coming together, you have your uniqueness. Crystal, everybody has their stuff, and I feel that this is a great way too, then, where if specific tasks need to get done or jobs are needed to be done, it's hopefully throughout the masterminds that we belong to, where we already have built those relationships, those people are probably right there, really like in front of us. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, so to hire, so when you need to pay, you know, your website, we want to, you know, we're looking to have our website redone. Probably somewhere within our mastermind group, maybe there is somebody with that specific knowledge in our group, or in my group, or in somewhere. Are you following me?
So that it's another way of accessing the resource besides crawling through Google. Is that what you're saying?
Well, you know, just taking it outside of the collective and making it specific to me, the individual, or to you, the individual, of how it's like, I don't know, I'm sorry, I know, just give me a sec, I'm going to simplify this because it's not really complicated what I'm saying. Basically, what I'm just saying is, think about what I'm saying as our mastermind. I feel masterminds that I belong to, there's a lot, you know, within the group, there's the specific people in there who come with their knowledge and their own business that they do. So as a collective, when I'm meeting with the group, I feel that that's where I'm able to tap into the specialized knowledge as a group. We're all coming together, chewing the fat. But relationships are now being built. So if I need, say, somebody to create an ebook or do a sales page for me, I'm definitely going to think of those that I'm in my mastermind groups with, because there's probably somebody in there maybe. And if there is, and that's the one that I'm going to work with to build my own little support team. Was I understanding you, Dawn? Really? It goes back to your initial question that you put out there. Am I answering it? Did I understand your question? And am I answering? Because it is a little bit late here on Eastern Standard Time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I apologize if I'm just being like a rambling.
I think you're doing a good job. This is a big question, and so when we talk about mastermind, and we talked about this on maybe 2 Mondays ago when we talked about masterminding, the difference between the mastermind, which is the infinite intelligence that's tapped into when we come together as a group, where we're accessing that, the resources of the universe, the consciousness, like that becomes a part of the group that answers all the questions that we have when we're together. And then masterminding is actually the process of getting, pulling that information out of the mastermind. And then you're also talking about kind of like that third layer of, and it's almost like feels like more of networking. Where you are using the individual minds of the people in the group for your specific needs. Now, and the way Napoleon Hill, I'm just kind of going through here. Napoleon Hill, he struggled most of his life when he was creating a mastermind, because it was like the piece that he kept missing, and he tried several times to develop a mastermind, and how it ended up for him was it was just the mastermind relationship between his wife, and then really ended up being his wife, and W. Clement Stone. That was his mastermind group, and it wasn't it wasn't a bunch of people. And they were coming up with the ideas of who to reach out to outside of the group, sometimes, and sometimes within. So, what my answer to your question, I think, Robin, I'm trying to find out whose question is answering is yes, and no, you're not wrong. Like, there's no wrong here. It's more of like, when you get in there and you're following that specific definite purpose in life, and it goes back to that definite purpose. When you're following your definite purpose, your sixth sense, right? Remember, that's another chapter to come. Your sixth sense kicks in and really lets you know, and also the sixth sense of your mastermind partners can pick up, pick the information down and pull it down to the earth and make words out of that, out of the ethers, the information that's coming from the ethers. And you can, all of that helps speed up your process. And if you're paying attention, you're focused, and the sixth sense is giving you your next step, and your mastermind partners are there to sort of hold, it's not even holding you accountable. It's like they're the mastermind. My belief in the spiritual principle of the mastermind is to hold the container, to be the physical will, W-I-L-L, of the image that you are trying to manifest. So your specific goal is whatever it is. Your mastermind partners are there to really hold that vision for you and hold you accountable to it, or maybe not even accountable, but to remind you, because when we get distracted, right, remind you what your goal is.
So the most beautiful mastermind is the one that has, whether it be just one other person or two, as in the case of Napoleon Hill, or a slightly larger group of people committed to something together, not necessarily the same exact thing, but to be together, to appropriate that sixth sense, to be available to their own and to that as a whole, and to accelerate people actually realizing their mission.
Right. And there's whatever their definite chief aim is.
Yeah.
And that's going to be different for everybody. And
yeah.
And we're talking about specialized knowledge, but he really does talk so much about specialized knowledge, about it being about the mastermind group, right? Mm-hmm. So, and if we go through all of these, and I'm going to read this chapter because he said read it again and again. Excuse me. The accumulation of great fortunes call for power, and power is acquired through highly organized and intelligently directed specialized knowledge. But that knowledge does not necessarily have to be in the possession of the man who accumulates the fortune. So that's where the mastermind comes in. It could be, you can grab it from any. The man who can organize and direct a mastermind group of men or women who possesses knowledge useful in the accumulation of money is just as much as an educated woman as any woman in the group. So, we'll just leave it at that. So just putting that out there. The specialized knowledge that we're looking for is this specialized knowledge that it's the how that we want to know, right? Mm-hmm. How do we go from here to here? And whether or not we allow, have the mastermind get together and use their intuition, because there's not the specialized knowledge is not within the members of the group, but they're connecting to higher sources through their heart and their mind, or whether or not one person goes, oh, I know how to do that. You just do this, and then they give you like the steps, and you're like, oh, great, I can just do that. Step 1, step 2. But it goes back to finding that specialized knowledge. And the mastermind group, there's so many different ways to create a mastermind group. Some people, you can have a mastermind group with just the sole purpose of being the best and most authentic person you can be. And that could be the purpose, like for each individual to be just the most true to themselves that they can. So in that masterminding process, there might be coaching or back and forth or discussions around that. So that's like one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum could be you could have a mastermind group whose sole purpose is to raise money and create and build an entirely new school for the community, right? Or a hospital or whatever it is. And you might have nothing at all to start with, like starting with a blank canvas, just an idea. And everybody gets together for one common purpose. And the common purpose would be to get the building, completely built. And you can do them both. You can have a mastermind group that has either purpose. You have to be very clear in a mastermind group what the purpose of the group is. Mm-hmm. So our purpose of this mastermind group, of this particular group that comes together here, is for us to understand more deeply, and to raise our consciousness about the principles within the book Think and Grow Rich. Mm-hmm. That is the purpose. So when we come together, our first purpose is to allow ourselves to grow an understanding of the book Think and Grow Rich, mm-hmm. and how to use and apply these principles to our individual businesses.
Yes.
So then we can take these principles each week and say, how does this apply to our business? How can we apply this to our business? And from that point, then the mastermind, all of us together can get together and say, okay, I get it. I can use specialized knowledge for, I'm working on this project, and how can I use specialized knowledge to move me forward, mm-hmm. or to help me build my business with this new project, or this that I'm working on, this direction, this specific, definite chief, aim, what I'm aiming at. And the aim could be an increase of income, which most of we're thinking and growing rich. That's my intention for everybody, to have more money, not be afraid of it. And so as you're building your business, how do you use each one of these chapters to do that? Yeah. Wow. That was a lot.
I had a kind of block of like I get this from the Bible, where two or more are gathered, that's
Right.
always been really meaningful to me, and never meant it was only people who believed in that book in some way, right? But for some reason, Andrea, you seem to really grasp this concept tonight, and I think I was trying to make it more like networking or something. I didn't understand, because there is a part of this chapter where Hill does actually talk about, I think, getting some specific knowledge, whether it's like home study course or, yeah, dig in, get yourself equipped on some level. It's not just get with other people and download, but the download seems to be on a higher level. It's not, it could be informative to the nuts and bolts, but it's more about, on being on track with your purpose, with your chief aim.
Right. So, yeah. So, and as we move further into this chapter and we get deep, so there's the one level, the masterminding principle, accessing this knowledge of everybody else. But when you think about, and he talks about go get yourself a degree, go get some training. Nobody who has any, and I will talk a little bit about what has been come up a lot lately in the news, and I'm not, in research, is that they're saying that people are really trying to master this specialized knowledge so much that they're becoming, getting tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm.
And with the tunnel vision, and not surrounding yourself with other people to fill in the gaps or to let you know when, you're really, there's an opportunity to see even a bigger picture.
Yeah.
When we create, and I want to talk about this, is what specialized knowledge, now that we understand what, specialized, not how we can get it from other people, what specialized knowledge do we have to give to a mastermind group?
Mm-hmm.
That's really, and you can get into a mastermind group without feeling that you have any specific specialized knowledge. It's not required, but if you're going to move into the direction of, a single direction of where you want to go, you're going to have to, like he says, is create specialized knowledge about a certain topic. And for, you can just think of some of the people that you admire the most. We'll just talk about, who do you admire and what specialized knowledge do they have, and then we're going to bring that back to us. So the question is, the bigger question now is, what specialized knowledge do you see the people that you would like to emulate, or your mentors, what specialized knowledge do they have?
Yeah.
And then bring it back to you, what specialized knowledge do you have? So those are a couple questions to think of. What specialized knowledge do people that you see, they could be like Oprah. We'll use Oprah as an example.
Actually, I don't want to hog this, Andrea, so just knock me over, but Brene Brown, I just got her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, and it's amazing. And she spent all this time becoming the expert on shame and what's the impact, and what do you do about it. And then she wrote that book, and she had to start looking at what is wholeheartedness. And she, oh my gosh, she became an expert at wholeheartedness, which was a whole road turn for her, because I've only read the intro, but in the intro she's like, oh my God, the do's and don'ts of wholeheartedness, I land all on the don't side. And so she had to shift and got to, and that was part of her journey, and I think it's amazing. And then Oprah and she are in an interview, and she brings a point to Oprah, and Oprah just says, stop. That I have to let that sink in. That is so powerful, And so both of them have Oprah has her broadcasting knowledge and her knowledge, I guess, of how to bring subjects to the broadest audience that have the deepest impact. And Brene Brown knows how to do that with her area of specificity, vulnerability, shame, No. That's my answer.
Yeah, no, those are great. Those are great, great answers, and great observations. Because what we're looking at is an outsider's point of view of what somebody else's specialized knowledge is. You might ask Oprah what her specialized knowledge is, and she may just say, my specialized knowledge is interviewing. And to me, I think that that's probably one of the greatest skills. And if you want to know, they say public speaking is the greatest skill. I almost would beg to differ, because it seems to me like the people who make the biggest impact in the world are the people who are the best at interviewing other people.
Drawing them out.
Yeah, and drawing them out. So Oprah does that and did that. Napoleon Hill, that's how he wrote this book.
That's
right. Through interviews. And I have a couple of really good friends, and if you are wanting to be, and here's another, if you're watching this, if you want to be and gather specialized knowledge about anything, the best way to do it is by interviewing people who have the knowledge. So if you wanted to be an expert or get specialized knowledge in public speaking, you would interview all the experts that you want to who are professional public speakers, or maybe who teach people how to be professionals, public speakers. And if you want to be a comedian, you're going to interview lots of comedians. This is one of the, this is the easiest way to get specialized knowledge, to gain access to specialized knowledge in the world today. And I'm going to say that, like, if it's just one of those, do we do it? I just interviewed my web guy because I wanted to get in the habit of interviewing people, and I learned so much. I'm like, I've been friends with this guy for years, and got this great interview where I've learned so much about him, and I felt silly. Part of it was getting comfortable asking questions. For me, and I realized, wow, like, I've got a great skill set. I can get in front of people and speak to people. That's easy, but interviewing people, that's different game. That's a whole different game. And I can ask questions like I'm asking you guys, but to get in there and really ask great questions, that's something else.
Yeah.
So I would say that Oprah has this great skill set of interviewing. And Andrea, I'd love to know what your thoughts are about about what are the specialized knowledge do you see that somebody has that you like, that maybe you're following them, or they're your mentor, or maybe somebody that's coming to your mind?
Well, Oprah had come to my mind, but we've already talked about her, and there's there's so many.
Well, did you find something else with Oprah?
Louis Schwartzberg, just because we were on the thing of Oprah, so it's just triggering, because it was a repeat on Super Soul Sunday, and his work, Louis Schwartzberg, who he's known for his cinematography in his movies, and he did that one, Gratitude. He films nature.
Okay.
With that suspended lens that he uses, and just the knowledge that man brings outside of the technical photography part, right? With the camera and the lens and the, all of that equipment. It's, then taking it to where it's the spirituality and sorry, my brain's like on delay at this point, at this time of night. But what I'm trying to say is this Louis Schwartzberg's films are just, for me, moving and brings the most incredible emotions up, and it's that really like heightened level of consciousness and spirituality and connection to, the drop of water in the, or the drop of the water in the ocean, like that whole, through his specialized knowledge, just, it's not one-fold, it's not two-fold, it's not three-fold, there's so many layers to this, to his knowledge. And I feel so appreciative to know from him in this, through his specialized knowledge of a cameraman and a filmmaker, to then where it has helped me to connect further and deeper to my spiritual journey.
Yeah, that's another, yeah. There's, when I've done a lot of coaching on money and mindset. And one of the things that I have found, like, through this whole journey of, like, what do people really value? Like, really, where's all the money going to in the world, right? Where does it go? It goes to the people who make the biggest impact, right? The people, so like athletes, they get paid a lot because they inspire the most people. Because also, and this is a really big tip for understanding what we really do value. And you're talking about it in your talking about your video, or your, yeah, he was a cinematography guy, is that if you can't evoke emotion, that's really what it's about. I mean, that's what the interviews are about with Oprah. That's what football, the great American sports, that's what the home run is about. You pay for the emotions that you can evoke. And when there's a great movie, it makes you feel like in recesses that you've not felt in before. And you might not remember the specific details of a movie or of a conversation with somebody that you value, but you remember the way it made you feel.
Absolutely.
So when we're thinking about, like, the ultimate specialized knowledge, my guess would be, if I had to, like, there's specialized knowledge of interviewing, go a little deeper, specialized knowledge of how to translate that feeling into money. That would be a specialized knowledge that you could bottle up and take. And that's what people who are actors and actresses, I mean, that's what they want to tap into. How can I make the audience believe that I'm feeling what I'm feeling, right? Paid a lot for that. They get paid a lot for being able to share their emotions with the audience, and that's kind of, that's not too far off of what he's talking about, specialized knowledge. But what do you go to school for? What kind of specialized knowledge? And we could go to school for anything. When you go back to the chapter on or go forward to the chapter on, well, backwards to the chapter on desire, it's really about, what do we want? Like, where's our heart moving us towards? Like, what's our heart moving us towards? When you can get into that space and use your specialized knowledge, like, oh, I know I have specialized knowledge, and you have specialized knowledge in coaching people. I'm talking to you, Andrea, coaching people and help them transcend awful situations and help them be themselves when they never thought that they even knew who they were before, right? You can, like, magically help them find who they are. Free to be me kind of specialized knowledge.
Yes.
Not everybody can do that. Not everybody has the capacities, skill sets, or patience. Like, there's a lot of skills that go into helping somebody know that they are free to be themselves. And what does, where does that even start? Like, I remember somebody telling me, you should just be yourself and you'll be happy. This, I was, 20, and I'm like, what does that even mean? Like I was so clueless, I couldn't even like figure it out. I didn't even know that I wasn't, who I was, because I'm like, aren't I who I am? Like, but it was true. Like, but you have to know who you are before you can go, oh yeah, I wasn't who I was back then, but now I am who I am. Babble. But specialized knowledge. So, and Robin, you have specialized knowledge about business and about a lot of things in business because you've gone through it and you've got, you have earned your degree in the University of Life, and as well as other, other education. But when we go through this, and I have specialized knowledge, I feel like I have a lot of specialized knowledge with helping people understand these concepts, making them easy.
Business owner and their offerings, for sure is your. So, I have a question for you guys.
Right.
Okay. Talking about the specialized knowledge, and talking about, as Napoleon Hill makes reference to, hey, go and learn it. Where and how, Robin, and then Dawn, Dawn, maybe you can answer first, and then Robin can answer second. You guys toss a coin. Did you guys learn your specialized knowledge?
Yeah, great question. You want to answer first, or you want me to?
I can go, or you can go.
All right, I've got you on the screen, so why don't you go?
All right. My specialized knowledge, my intuitive hit on human beings, I started to be aware of that in college when I was unexpectedly working with a young man who had cerebral palsy in the swimming pool, and I found that my ability to work in sync with him, in concert with him, with his desire and his volition and what his body could and couldn't do, it was so exciting to me to partner with him on getting a simple thing like getting his arm to extend when it was by how his brain worked and his injury, I suppose, his birth injury. He would be normally like this, and for him to do this was a lot. And for me, it was to partner with him in, you can do it. I know you can do it. I'm here with you. For what he wanted. So partnering with him to achieve what he wanted, that was my first taste of, wow, I really, really like that. And then the next place I found myself doing that the most was when I worked in the ad agency business, where I got to work with the client to have the expression of their business that they wanted in terms of the messaging, but even going below that when I was working with product marketing about what is the product and how does it serve and who does it serve and creating a cycle. That's where business in some way matched the experience I had with my first client, the guy in the swimming pool. And so I think that deep motivation for me is to connect with people about what they really want and help echo back to them that they have that capability and help them resource that. So my specialized knowledge came along the way, all along the way, where I picked up tidbits, whether it be in business where we had to accomplish a particular thing and I needed to learn how to get a specific detail, like what do you do when you have an R&D audit? What do you do when you have employed people under the wrong labels and the government wants to extract more money from you. But that's the specialization I got from putting myself on the path of creating business. So I got some specialized knowledge in various courses or studying under people with knowledge. Always, I think, I just looked for who knows this and how can I learn it from them and partner with them to have it happen, whether it be me for someone else or me for our business. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What about you, Andrea? Is she there?
She's muted.
She's muted. Well, you're muted, Andrea. Well,
sorry, yeah, I came in to turn my microwave on, so I wanted to mute myself. You wouldn't maybe, to have the background noise.
Yeah. Did you hear Robin's answers to how she gained her specialized knowledge?
Yes.
Yeah. And
so life and where life took you through business and rendezvous with the individuals.
Combined with what I felt my passion for.
Right. Okay, so had you done anything like Napoleon Hill had? Did you then, once you discovered, hey, this I really love this, and I see this in myself, did you take any courses or, where maybe you didn't even get the degree, but you had, gone to...
Yeah,
okay.
You know what I did? So from working with that young man, I decided to be a physical therapist. So I got a degree in kinesiology. I worked in small clinics and hospitals, and I delivered physical therapy services that I was allowed to without having become a full-fledged physical therapist. And at some point, I felt that the system was a little limiting, and I decided I liked business, and I actually like to say I went from manipulating bodies to manipulating minds because I decided I loved words and writing, and so there was a patient who had a friend who was in public relations. So I got introduced to the friend. I wrote and published an article with him, and I started to explore public relations, but then advertising seemed a little more interesting, so I leveraged over to it. I opened that world, and then I apprenticed by starting at the very bottom and working up, and that's what I did.
Wow. So, okay. So, now, Miss Dawn.
Right. And my answer for where I am now is, I took some training to learn how to be a coach, to learn everything that I could about, mindset, and from the person who I thought was, at the time, had the best specialized knowledge, because I wanted to learn from the best. Who knew this better than everybody? And so I learned from Bob Proctor. And he was, to me, the person who brought the most specialized knowledge about the mind to the table. And there's lots of, and I immerse myself in training and learning. I've read thousands of books about it, but it wasn't until actually I took that knowledge and applied it did I actually learn the lessons. And that's the thing that I think people totally miss. Being able to apply what you learn is a leap of faith, because there's a big difference between learning it from an institution, from a school. I actually studied engineering. That's a different story. And I didn't complete it because it wasn't 1 year short of graduating, realized that was not what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. Great idea for staying in the numbers, because I thought everything was about numbers. There's safety in numbers because the numbers don't lie. That was awesome for me. It was a very safe place for me. No people. I realized that, oh wow, I really did love learning about people and learning how to help people get what they wanted. That was my big driver. And always after the engineering thing, everything became for me, how can I help people understand themselves, me understand myself, and how can I help people move forward and get what they want, like to live their dreams. That's all I've ever wanted to do. So that's what I've been doing ever since. But the learning is constant. I'm constantly full of that. And yeah, and the intuition and the spiritual pieces of that came in for me after. I think I've always had that intuition and you know, had the intuitive knowledge, but it took me a while to understand how the mind worked to organize things in a way that everything worked together. And so my specialized knowledge has definitely been mostly about doing my inner work, practicing with clients, practicing as I'm learning with clients, and seeing that, and allowing my creative imagination to come into play with the knowledge that I had about, oh, this is what, you know, in theory should work to help somebody move forward. This is not working. And then your intuition comes in and goes like, oh, okay. And it's a different world. It's an entirely different world when you let your intuition type in. So, I mean, I don't know if I answered your question. I've had I've had training in hypnotherapy. I've had training in.
You totally answered it.
What's that?
You've definitely.
Yeah, I've lots of.
Both of you have definitely answered it. So it's like it's been a smorgasbord of life,
right?
Where life is taught, right?
Yeah.
Where then schooling has been involved, mentors,
mm-hmm.
and continual learning and immersing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And here's the, yes, one of the things that I've understood about me and like the clients that I'm helping, you know, move forward is there gets a point when you have to trust that you know enough. That if you're trying to gain more specialized knowledge to stay ahead of something, then you're now in what I call that chase energy. So you're chasing the knowledge to try to stay ahead, as opposed to going deep into the knowledge where you're accessing, you're allowing yourself to bring something from you into the world regarding what you've studied all your life. Then that becomes, you become an owner mm-hmm. of the specialized knowledge, as opposed to somebody who's still chasing it, reading more books, going to more seminars on it, and instead of going to writing a book, giving a seminar on it, you know, like these are really taking ownership of what the studying and the learning that you've accumulated. So at some point, we're hoping as teachers and involved people and people who want to think and grow rich, that we get to the point where, you know, we're constantly learning, but we become learners of ourselves and what we add to this material, as opposed to needing to find it from everybody else. I mean, you can read a book and from somebody else, but you're looking for ways to always integrate the information and allow yourself to even add more to the knowledge that you just read, as opposed to thinking that somebody else is the expert all the time. So, I mean, right. I'm just throwing that in there because there has to be a time when we stop trying to be the learner, we become the mentor, we become the coach, and we're doing it, but we really, to take ownership of it is a different, I mean, that's specialized knowledge in itself. So.
Wow. That's specialized knowledge in itself.
of yourself. And I think so. Yeah.
That's profound.
And isn't that really kind of what we want to have specialized knowledge of, really, is ourselves? Specialized knowledge of who we are and what we bring to the world. And we're just going to throw that out there because that's really powerful, specialized knowledge.
This was a great call. What made you change it to tonight?
You know what? I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. I'll give that answer on private because I don't, I will share that with you privately.
Oh, are we wrapping right now? Are we done?
Yeah, we're going to wrap up right now. Is that good? Are you?
I could go for another hour, but
yes, I could too. But I'm going to stop the broadcast now. And I guess the final thought is, and I really did want to talk about the fact that there's so much knowledge out there right now. It is unprecedented how much knowledge is out there right now. To think that we could have like a block of that knowledge to ourselves is hopeful. Say hopeful. But if you want to step into being rich, you have to just own the knowledge that you have right now and start from here. And if you are somebody who's just starting out and you're looking for a direction and you still need the education, this is definitely, go to school, get the but for us that are, here on this call, we have the knowledge that we need to start from here. There's no more specialized knowledge that we need. I'm saying this because the wealth comes from being able to apply what you know right now and sharing that value with the world and receiving the value. That's the end of this this call. I'm going to stop the broadcast, and next time we're going to go straight into the imagination, and we are going to have fun because the imagination is so super powerful. You can create anything that you want with your imagination, and we'll just say that. So until next time, and we will do next month unless it changes, we'll do it in the morning on Wednesday morning, the first Wednesday of September. So, okay, bye everyone. I will see you next time, and stop the broadcast.